Hi and welcome everyone. So I thought I would come in and chat about the feelings or emotion wheel and one of the ways that you can work with it to work through emotions. So I'm just going to get the feelings wheel up on the screen. Okay, so as you can see in the center here, it will have all the main emotions that we could feel like happy, sad, angry, etc. And so what the idea is with the feelings wheel is that as you branch out, once you've identified an emotion that you're feeling, you can go a little bit deeper into the feeling. So you can branch out to the next category, which is the middle circle, and it will give you iterations of that. Let's go, for example, fearful. You might have scared, anxious, weak, etc., rejected. So then you can identify that feeling. And then on the third layer of the wheel, we have, even more. I'm just going to try and bring that around. That's it, so I can read it properly. So you will have helpless, frightened, overwhelmed, etc. So now there are two ways you can work with this. If you've had a situation and you've already identified, I'm feeling fearful, then you can go to the next category and tune in to, okay, so when I'm feeling fearful about this situation, what is it also making me feel? And it might be the word anxious, and it could even be insecure. There could be a couple of, maybe you have to do something and you're feeling afraid. And so that's making you feel anxious and insecure about doing the thing. So then, as you can see, when you go to the word anxious, you've got overwhelmed or worried. So you can go to the next category. So is this anxiousness making me feel overwhelmed? Is it making me feel worried? Is this insecurity making me feel inadequate or inferior? Now, the way I often use the wheel is to muscle test, as I showed you guys on, I think, the second day. So I would identify, okay, what is it? I'm going to try and think of an example that can be a little bit basic. Okay, let's say I'm feeling a little bit ambivalent around going live on my Instagram. I'm just using it as an example of something that I can work through. Okay. And so I would muscle test. Okay. Am I feeling fearful? And I'm getting a no. Angry, disgusted. Actually, disgusted is what's come up. Okay, which is interesting. So then I would go to the next category. Okay, so is it disapproving, disappointed, awful, repelled? So repelled was the one that muscle tested for me. So then I'm going to go to the next category. Okay, is it judgmental, embarrassed, appalled, revolted, nauseated? Trying to read these sideways. Detestable, horrified, and hesitant. Okay, hesitant. So I muscle tested, but really I could have gone from disgusted to repelled to hesitant. So now I might feel in my body, okay, so what is this hesitant about? So once you've identified that deeper feeling, there's a couple of things you can do. You can put your hand on your body and tune in. And so this is the somatic work, the felt sense work, where we talk about, okay, how is this feeling? What is this about? And I would certainly write this down as you're going, right? So you could be writing down, what's coming up for you. So I might write down the word hesitant, okay? And then I'm going to close my eyes, put my hand anywhere on my body and just tune in. Take a deep breath. Okay, where am I feeling hesitant in my body? Can I feel it? Is it a tightness in my chest? Is it a sick feeling in my stomach? What's the thought that comes up around this feeling hesitant? So we want to feel the feeling, not to the point of overwhelm, but to the point of we want to acknowledge it. Okay, I don't know why I would be feeling disgusted about going on, to do a live on Instagram, like using my example, but I know that I certainly feel hesitant because, it might be fear of visibility, which already I know that's triggering. It could be I might be judged. People may not understand what I share. What if nobody comments? These are all common things that we kind of go through when we're trying to show up in our business or on social media. So that would be just a simple example. For you, it could be anything. It could be something that you want to do in the Joy Challenge that you haven't done so far. So you could use the wheel to identify what's blocking you. Okay, so ways to work with the feelings. If you feel triggered to feel it in your body, if that is too overwhelming for you, then don't do it. That's probably needs to be done in a session with a therapist if you don't feel like you can handle the emotions on your own. Um, you can journal about it. You can do something to shift the energy. So let's say I'm feeling hesitant. I could say, well, what's a tiny step I could take that would alleviate that hesitancy? Is it I could do a recorded video on Instagram, or could I do something that like a question and answer thing, so then I've got a bit of a, so if I go live, maybe I can do something that has a structure to it. So I could do card readings. I could grab an oracle deck and come on and pick a card and read about the card to my audience and what its meaning is, so that then I've got so much structure to my live that it's not me just coming on and chatting about stuff and then feeling overwhelmed, etc. So finding a way around the issue that you're feeling. Is there a smaller step you can take? Is there something you can do to create support for yourself so that you can make that step? Okay, what else could you do? You can move the energy out. You could do like exercise. You could put on a song and dance. You could talk to a friend. There's so many ways to shift emotions. You could have a good cry. You could go and have like, something nurturing, a bath. We're talking about like it's going to be different for everybody, depending on what you're feeling. Of course, if you're in the fearful category, you're going to be doing different things than if you're in a different like sort of category. You may even come over to the happy, for example, let's go back to my example of doing a live. I could come over to the happy category and muscle test. Okay, what's a feeling that I could bring up rather than feeling this hesitancy? What would be like something that I could like integrate instead of feeling hesitant, instead of doubting myself? What could I embody? So then I might come in and muscle test. Okay, so I'm in the second category. I'm just muscle testing the words now as I'm speaking. Trusting is what muscle tested, right? So I could be trusting that I can do this, right? I can, like I said, take the steps, grab an oracle deck, have it ready to go, have a card ready to go. I could trust in my ability that the world's not going to end if I do a live and I don't feel super confident, but I do it anyway because I trust that this is what I feel guided to do, right? Okay, so that's another way where we can embody a different feeling, right? So now we're replacing that feeling of, I'm really not sure about doing this. It's making me feel like, maybe people might think I'm disgusting. I don't know why that word's coming up. I'm still thinking about why it would be coming up, but it could just be that that word is the category. So perhaps it's not like, perhaps I needed to get to the word hesitant, and it's not so much about disgusted. It's more about the hesitant feeling, because I can identify with the hesitant feeling, the disgusted not so much. But then once again, we're working with the subconscious here. So often we don't really know what's playing on in the background, right? It could be that I think that people might be disgusted in what I've got to say. There could be people that think, what are you talking about? What's that energy healing crap about, right? So many layers to us showing up in the world and doing the thing. People could be repelled by me, then I could lose followers. Not that I really care about followers, but it would feel like rejection. So then another thing that you could do, another branch, if you feel like you want to go deeper, is, let's say we're working with the word hesitant. When I'm tuning into my body and trying to feel this emotion and let it come up and out, I could think, okay, where have I felt hesitant before like this? Is there an earlier experience where I've hesitated, or I felt like I needed to hesitate around taking an action that I feel inspired to do? And this is where we can then go into earlier memory work, like you might all of a sudden see yourself as a 5-year-old and, you took an action and something happened And so then after that, you made the decision that you were never going to go out and take those actions again. So this is the kind of thing that we do in a healing session, where we kind of unpack the beliefs and the stories behind the emotions, the thoughts. If the thoughts keep coming up, if you keep having a recurring thought and a theme, it's because there's an underlying emotion, and usually under the emotion is the belief around, I can't do that, or I can't be seen, etc., or it's not safe to be seen. Okay, so I could go on, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys. At the very least, you could just use this to identify a feeling. You don't need to do all the steps I spoke about. You could just come in here and like you could just wake up one day and feel a bit ick, like just a bit like, oh, I feel a bit off. I don't know what's going on. Let me just have a quick look in the wheel. Yeah, I feel a bit sick in the stomach. Okay, so like I'm feeling a bit icky. So I'm going to go to fearful. It probably feels like a bit of a fear that I'm feeling. It's like that yucky feeling. And then you might go, okay, what's the next category? I'm feeling threatened. Okay, so has something happened to help you feel threatened? To like, what are you feeling threatened about? Then there's words nervous and exposed. Okay, I feel exposed, right? Let's go back to my example of showing up on social media. I feel exposed. I feel like maybe, what's the word? Like imposter syndrome. Like I feel like maybe there's people that are going to call me out for speaking my truth or what I know, right? So that's an example without doing any muscle testing and without going into too much story. And so then we don't want to sit there being in a healing crisis for days. We want to get the learning. Okay, what am I learning from this? And shift it, transform it. If you can't do it, book a therapy session or go and see a healer or just do something, talk to a friend, journal it out, and either burn what you've written or take action on something that you've written, because it's all about, you've got the experience, and then what are you learning from it? What is the secondary gain? So that's another thing. Okay, what am I benefiting from doing this? So let's go back to the example of social media and showing up. So if I don't show up, if I don't do the live, what's the benefit that I'm getting from not doing the live? Okay, what's the secondary gain from not showing up? Well, the secondary gain is I feel safe, right? No one's going to call me out. I'm not going to have someone comment, you don't know your stuff. So I get to hide, and that feels safe. So that's the secondary gain. So, okay, well, so now that I've identified that it's about feeling safe, what can I do to feel safer, so that I don't need to have this coping mechanism by not showing up? Okay, so that's kind of another way around it, is that we learn the lesson, and then we shift it by taking the action to then like dismantle that belief that it's not safe for me to show up. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to leave them somewhere in the Facebook group. I know this will be saved on probably YouTube, because I'm not sure if I'll be able to put this on straight on Facebook. But certainly if you've got any questions about this, I'd be happy to answer, and let me know if some of this resonated for you. Okay, so now I'm just going to work out how to shut this down so that I can get out of the screen. Hopefully I can work out how to do it. All right, so I'm going to, okay, there we go. All right, hope that was good, guys, and feel free to let me know any comments.